All right, Ethan, we might be live. I'm not sure if we are or not. I was waiting on that eye. Maybe Restream did a little bit of an update where that's not there anymore. Maybe we're not live yet, but we'll operate under the guise that we are. Welcome to SSPN, everybody. This is going to be a little bit of a turbo version because Ethan has a little bit of a commitment to get to. So we're going to run through these three topics here real quick, though, and just talk about the Spurs. Obviously, broke the losing streak last night. Ethan, you were able to check that out. I was being a bad podcast host and watching a different basketball game. But I did see the highlights, and I saw KJ had a career high with 36, 11, and the 4 steals as well. What were your thoughts on that win against the Nets last night?
It was a good team win. We came out really, really strong. Lots of energy, both sides of the ball. Now, take all of this with a grain of salt because the Nets were without Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So it was really the Ben Simmons show who had a triple double, but he really still looked pretty subpar as far as scoring the basketball and being aggressive. So we
Miss
were
dunk.
able
Got
miss
locked up
dunk.
by Sohan a couple times, I saw.
Absolutely. So they struggled a lot, especially shooting the ball only 13% from three. But at the same time, a lot of positives to take away. Like I said, the energy was nonstop throughout the entire game. Even when the Nets made a comeback, I think they were up by 5 or so in the third quarter, maybe. But we were able to, jump ahead and win 106-98. Keldon had 36 points. Really terrific game from him. Went back to his roots, got to the hole, especially after his shot wasn't falling. 3 for 11, but all 3 of those shots were very timely and important to actually securing the win. So the clutch gene finally kicking in for Keldon
You're
Johnson.
talking about
Also,
threes, right?
threes, yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And 11 boards as well. So aggressive on the boards and solid defense overall. Jakob came out. I'm pretty sure he had all of his points in the first quarter. He looked incredible at first. I tweeted out how the low block action with him looked very reminiscent of Timmy D back in the day, where we would dump it off to him. He would get a screen from like Keldon back door. He would swing around from block to block, get it, and kind of go to work and either look to score but also play make for others. So that looked pretty strong early on. We kind of went away from that. I'm not sure if it was the Nets adjustment or if we just decided to go away from it because I believe Jakob was in foul trouble early as well as our boy Zach Collins. That didn't affect the final outcome of the game, but that could have been a reason as to why. Romeo struggled. He continued to struggle. Trey didn't have the greatest game scoring the ball. He only had 13 points, 5 assists. But again, his presence, his facilitating, always important for our team. And then Sohan, honestly, was probably the next biggest point. He had 16 points all in the first half. He looked phenomenal, hit 2 threes, stroke looked smooth. Sean was really emphasizing how it finally looks like his left hand as it kind of moved away from the ball at the top of his shot. So it's not pulling it left or right.
Right.
It's still a little flat, and obviously it won't be as consistent for the rest of the season, but it's improvement and it's growth. And
Right.
we can see it literally as we watch the game. And he looked great because he looked like he was looking for his shot. He had a couple fadeaway jumpers.
I saw some of
In
those.
the low block, he looked comfortable. And playmaking, he always has instances where it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like he just has incredible vision, and we get glimpses of it. And then defensively, like you said, playing against Ben Simmons, T.J. Warren, Markieff Morris, who he had a scuffle with. I like to see that scuffle. I've been wanting a fight. I finally got a little bit of one. It wasn't that big. It was
Ethan
more
wants
of
violence.
I do want violence. I mean, we're not winning, so I might as well see a good scruffle,
Good
right?
little good little brawl. Good little
Good little
scrap.
brawl. And it wasn't bad. Zach Collins got an elbow in there. Sohan threw Keefe to the ground. So some good stuff. Good stuff to see from that. But I'm just glad that Sohan wasn't letting Markeith push him around. Markeith is known for doing that to young players, and Sohan was like, "You're not about to do that," and then proceeded to get an and one the next possession down. So great to see that mindset from our young guy. Malachi struggled a little bit. Jay Rich was able to pick up some of that slack with some key shots in important situations.
In the
Um,
highlights, Malachi actually looked nice. Granted, it was the highlights, but
yeah,
it's
two
just
two for
funny.
10. He just struggled shooting, but the 2 shots
Right.
that he made, like you said, he continues to look comfortable. He continues to get open shots and
Get
make
good
good
looks.
passes and
Were
yeah,
the
but
other ones still good spots?
yeah, they were open threes. He had 0 for
Just
5 from
missed them.
3, but he didn't
Yeah.
take a single ill-advised 3. It was just
Mhm.
didn't fall. So good overall team win, but again, Nets without their 2 best players, so take it with a grain of salt.
It was funny. I was talking to one of my friends I was at the game with yesterday, and kind of just looking at the people who were out. I was like, "Oh, they're up!" Like I saw
Yep,
the end of the first quarter, and then I saw who was out, and I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." It's like Keldon's the best player on the floor at that
for
point,
sure.
and I know a lot of people might be like Ben Simmons, but even just watching the highlights, like I was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I know he's doing better, but like, how much are they paying him? Like, what is his contract? It's like 28
Yeah,
million or 26 million or something, man,
it's
for
tough.
that. Like, yeah, it just unfortunate for Ben Simmons in a lot of ways. But anyways, other than that, before that happened, the Spurs had a tough loss to the Kings, and
Mm,
usually in other years it would be like, ooh, but they're the 4 seed right now, so that's actually, you know, considering the circumstances, that's one the Spurs are supposed to lose.
yeah.
But I was able to go to the Alamodome game, Ethan, as we talked about before. I'm wearing the shirt I got there. I can't show the whole thing, but it's kind of like a Back to the Future type deal.
Hey, now,
It's
yeah,
got the whole, you see a little bit of the
the
Fiesta
Fiesta
stuff,
type stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Dude, it was so fun. I know they got blown out by 40, but the environment was just incredible. I was so lucky. I mean, me and my girlfriend had a steal. Like, there were people who probably paid like significantly more than us, like, and didn't have as good of a view as we did. I was posted up like right behind the, I think it's like the Michelob Ultra fan like upgrade thing. It's basically like these two like nice recliners that they upgrade two random fans to. And that actually worked out really nice for me in the standing room only, because the first row, like you could say that is a little bit further up, is more behind the basket, where I was to the right of it. So I
Mm,
actually kind of got, and because there was so much space and just those two people in those seats, that actually kind of gave me more of a clearer view of the court. And, I'm not as, I'm not behind the basket. So there wasn't that kind of impeding my view. So I got to see Steph warm up. SSPN, we're friends with JJ Redick. I said hi to him. That was really cool. He walked by. I was like, JJ, you're the goat. And then, how like it was just kind of crazy. Like I wasn't even expecting him to walk by. I knew him and Cassidy Hubbard were there, but I wasn't like expecting him to just be that close to me. And
mm,
it was kind of like one of those things. You know how sometimes like you hear somebody say something, but you don't like process it until
yeah.
like 10 seconds later sometimes. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what happened with me and JJ, because at first he didn't do anything, and then it was like he poked his head up and like looked exactly in my direction, like he heard it from there, and I was like, JJ, and then he was like, what's up? He just
Oh,
smiled and waved. But it doesn't matter, because SSPN is affiliated with JJ Redick. It's going to be crazy when we go on the Old Man and the Three,
mm,
coming soon. Um,
make it
by
happen.
by soon, I mean eventually. Um, no, but it was so fun. I mean, the environment, the lights thing that we did at the beginning,
Yeah, that's
everybody got a
cool.
different Fiesta color light in person. That was incredible. The Coyote being the Coyote, just that whole night, Tony and Becky sitting on the bench, like right over there. I can see them. RC's walking around. People are yelling at him, telling him to trade people. There were some guys next to me at the end of the game. They were clapping it up. They had Tank for Wembenyama signs. They were like high school guys.
I think I saw those
and,
signs.
and at the end, they were like, Tank for Wemby. Like when we lost, they were like clapping it up. Oh my gosh, man. I wish I could like encapsulate it more in words, but it was just, I mean, it was exactly what you thought it was going to be. I know that the angle looked weird on TV, and it kind of was weird having like the open floor and like having the seats like not like being like placed on like the floor of the stadium instead, and then also the other seats like for a football game being completely full as well. I know that was a little weird, but the energy, the environment, tag team performing at halftime, I was going crazy then. It was just such a fun experience, and we got there lucky, and we happened to get like front row behind that, and we never left, and just had an absolute blast. I was expecting to basically have a bunch of people in front of me and watch the game on the jumbotron, so the fact that it worked out that way, it was just so cool. And I tell you what, when Trey got up to speak before the game, they probably didn't show this on ESPN,
Mm-mm.
but the whole team came out and Trey was speaking. That place was going nuts, like absolutely nuts. And a lot of them talked about it. Trey talked about it in the press conference after. Like, I think that really made an impression on a lot of these guys. Like, they had already got an impression from San Antonio, but like in that moment, I think that just really showed the love and like the passion of the city. And They did a big announcement today, announcing their new partnership with some capital company or something. I don't know if that's going to be the new AT&T Center, but it's
No, I
some
think it's the
partnership.
naming of the Lock and Terror, the Rock.
Right, right. The new Northwest San Antonio place, right. And
Mhm.
one of the things that they kind of reiterated was like, we've known the passion here. We've loved the first 50 years here, and we can't wait for the next 50. Peter J.
Mhm.
Holt and RC were saying that. And that game was about the best encapsulation of that, because this is a down year for the Spurs. We're one of the worst team in the league. And there were Warriors fans there, and I know that there was all the media stuff, but no, that was Spurs fans from San Antonio breaking that
Mm.
record, showing up in a season like this. And that's the reason, why the Spurs have, that's a big part, I think, why the Spurs have been able to have the success they've been able to have throughout the years. But we'll go ahead and wrap this up here pretty soon with just the Jakob trade rumors. I know that's been floating around. Shams put out an article saying Toronto and Boston have interest, but the key thing here is, Ethan, the Spurs feel like his price tag that he wants is a little bit too much. They offered him an extension, he rejected it. And also, it seems like he just wants to go play for a contender, which I'm not. He like, in that article, they're basically like, he really likes the Spurs a lot, but if we're not going to pay him, basically overpay him in our eyes, he's not going to stay. And so at that point, it really feels like we got to move him. Maybe we don't, if we just feel like we don't find a deal that we like and we just let him walk. But I feel like the indication from all of the legit news that's coming out, it's not like this is just some Twitter rumor. This is, Shams and Woes are top tier. So when he's saying stuff like this, it seems like we might just roll with Jakob. And the thing, or I say roll with Jakob, I mean roll with trading him,
Mhm.
because of the fact that we still have Zach Collins. If we trade him just for picks, we can sign Charles Bassey off the two-way, and then we've got our center rotation. And it's
Mhm.
not like it gets worse.
Yeah.
Like, where it's not, we're already in the lottery anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the non-Spurs fans on Twitter and around the world are just talking about how our price tag is way too high, 2 first-round picks, and that we only got a first and a pick swap for Derek White, and Derek White's way more valuable. I would have to disagree with that entirely. I think
I
Jakob
agree.
Pertl is extremely valuable.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to get those 2 firsts? That remains to be seen. But the way he's been playing as of late, he's been aggressive. He's been looking for his own shot while continuing to be a very, very good playmaker out of the post. He's one of the best screen setters aside from maybe Rudy Gobert and Jokic. He's up
Hmm.
there as far as setting screens and rolling hard at the basket. And then defensively, we talk about it all the time. One of the best paint defenders in the league. Now on the perimeter, of course, he's going to get beat by faster guards,
But
but
he's
that's
getting
just the
better. He's
he is
gotten better
getting
this
better.
year, and he's gotten better at taking the ball up the floor. We saw that a little bit last night.
His ball handling has improved. His hands have improved. Really, all facets of his game have improved. So on a team like Toronto or like Boston, surrounded by more talented guys
That's
pushing
the
for the
key
playoffs,
point.
he's going to be a very formidable piece. Whether you want to start him, like if Boston, you want to
Right.
start him, bring Robert Williams off the bench, or vice versa. That's a tough 2-man rotation at the center spot. Plus Al Horford, like
Hmm.
that is very difficult to stop. And we know the Raptors for what they do. They got like 5 7 footers basically out there
And we
at
know
one
how he
time.
plays there.
Yeah,
Like,
that's his
he was a
home.
part of the bench mob with
Yeah,
Fred Van
so
Vliet back in the day.
I have no problem trading Jakob. I think he's been doing this the right way. He hasn't made any noise. He hasn't demanded a trade or anything
Right.
like that. He's willing to play out his contract. He's just let the team know, like, I'm gonna be looking for this if you want me to stay here, which is probably too high, like you said. And if that's the case, if he wants 20 plus million, I say it's a very smart move by the Spurs
Yeah.
to part ways with him. Now, if we can't get 2 firsts, I'm fine with a first and a pick swap,
Me
maybe a
too.
first and several seconds, whatever it is. I really just want draft capital because, like you said, Zach Collins has continued to play better. Bassey has some people think Bassey's better than Zach Collins.
Right. He's
We still
22.
we
You could
still have
argue he
Gorgie
has more
Jang on a
potential.
exactly. We still have Gorgie Jang on a 10-day. We could maybe even bring up our boy from the
Dominic
G League,
Barlow.
Dominic Barlow, if he wanted to. And
uh,
we're already in the bottom of the league with Jakob Pertl.
right.
we get rid of him, all we're doing is improving our odds. It hurts because Jakob has been such a pivotal part of our team for so long, and a personality that we all love. Uh, but it's just the part of the business side of the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. There was the main thing that I was thinking about when you said this, Ethan, is just that like he's doing this on this team.
Yeah,
Like on a contending team, it's going to be a lot easier for him. But we'll let you go, Ethan. I know you got to get on the road. So we appreciate you guys hanging out for this little 15-minute SSPN live. We'll be back soon here with some post games and some other stuff as well. So thank y'all for hanging out. We'll catch you guys in the next one. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all later.